Hi guys, welcome back to Tooling Around. Our guest comes to us from the last frontier. And no, I'm not talking about outer space. She's a designer, a builder, and a world-famous do-it-yourselfer. And I'm pretty sure that she's wrestled grizzly bears. All the way from Alaska, here's Anna White. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to get into the DIY, I want to get into the blogging, but first off, I really want to talk about you and growing up in Alaska. So what was it like? People don't know. What is it like? Is there igloos?
Well, there's not igloos, but it's definitely a whole different world up in Alaska. How I grew up, we didn't just walk a mile to the school bus. We ran because you were either being chased by moose or it was 49 below.
So that's all true?
Yeah, it's all true. Yes, absolutely. So really different life. I didn't know it was hard until I had like modern conveniences like a phone and electricity.
So you didn't have a TV growing up?
No.
There was no.
No, I remember going to college and just being like, wow, I can plug a curling iron and I can turn lights on, just, you know.
Let's jump forward, okay? So at one point, you left Alaska and you decided to go to the West Coast. So, or I should say the lower part of the West Coast.
The lower 48.
Yeah, the lower 48, exactly.
So I went to school for computer science and I went and worked in the Silicon Valley for a few years. And I mean, I had a great job, great people to work with, good company. There was really nothing wrong with my job, but I was miserable inside. And I can remember just looking out the window and watching the gardener trim the roses and mow the lawn and just being very envious and feeling like he definitely had the better gig.
So something was missing.
Must have been, and maybe it was just my Alaska roots, but I moved back home and, you know, just decided that, you know, that just wasn't for me and I wanted to be happy.
Okay, so you moved back to Alaska. You started building. What's the biggest project that you've ever done?
Well, last year we tackled a timber frame cabin, so it's made of giant timbers, and it was a huge project, tons and tons of building materials, of wood, the biggest woodworking project I will probably ever tackle.
And this was off the grid?
Obviously. Off the grid, yes.
So you had to use power tools?
Yes, thank God for power tools.
For battery-operated power tools?
Well, I mean, come on, right? We don't even have like a lock on our cabin, and what we do is we board it up from bears, and then you cannot forget your Ryobi drill when you go, because you need to take all the bear protection off the doors.
So Ryobi became your partner in life.
Well, you know, their tools are really, I like them because they're very versatile. So I can bring the drill, but then I can also bring the vacuum and use that to clean up because it's off grid. You can't plug in a vacuum cleaner. And then like middle of the night using the outhouse or taking your kids out there and there's bears walking around. You've got to have a light, you know, cell phone charger on the light.
So let's talk about your husband. So you guys decided to build your own house, which is a wonderful thing, but he also introduced you to working with tools.
Well, kind of. I mean, I would watch him work on tools, but nobody had ever taught me, and I just didn't think that, you know, I was brave enough or strong enough or whatever to use tools. And I can remember the first time that I ever used a saw, he was up in the rafters and he'd cut a board too long. He would pre-cut things and then go up in the rafters, and he handed it down to me. He's like, "Can you just take a little bit off the end?" I was like, "No, I cannot use a saw, no." And he just like, "Look, you have to, because if you don't, have to go all the way down and climb all down the ladders and make this cut and then go all the way back up." I can remember making that first cut, and first I was just like, "Whoa, that was awesome. I cut a board, all the possibilities," right? And then I was mad. It's like, you mean all these years, it's been this easy and nobody has showed me how to use a saw.
But you built a playground for your kids. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's 8 months out of a year is winter in Alaska, so we try to get the kids out, but it's impossible sometimes. So we took some plywood and some 2x4s, and we spent the 3 days before Christmas. We're crazy, I know. Who does that? We do that. Building this indoor playground, and it's really awesome. The kids love it. They're just down there playing school and playing house and playing post office and monkey bars.
And that goes along with exactly what we were talking about, where you built all the furniture in your house. There's no big box stores to go run to if you need a coffee table or an end table. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, and that's really how I got inspired. We built this house, and we were of course too broke to buy furniture. And even when we could buy furniture, it's not like stores are right there. So I just kept thinking, if we could make a house, why can't we build our own furniture? And my husband, who had more of a background in construction, would tell me people don't build their own furniture anymore because you need all these tools and you need all these skills. And I'm like, there has to be some middle ground. You can't be either buying flat pack furniture that you still have to build, and it's very hard to build, for me anyways.
With Allen keys.
Yes. So you're buying that, or you have $20,000 in tools and a huge shop, and you've been woodworking for 30 years, and your grandfather taught you how to do it.
Exactly.
There has to be something in the middle that, not every cook has to be a chef. You can still make a fantastic meal, and in my case, fantastic furniture with just simple tools and simple materials.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second, because you have inspired, literally I'll say a nation of DIYers and bloggers that get your plans online for free. And you give this back to people. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's brought so much joy to me because when I built that first piece of furniture and I stepped back and I looked at it and I said, I saved thousands of dollars. I made something. I'd made the farmhouse bed that brings a lot of value to our home. It makes my home more beautiful. And I did that myself. It brought me so much joy. And it was joy for me.
And you decided to impart that on everybody else.
Yes, and I just wanted to share that. I was just like, this is the most amazing thing ever. Not only are you going to save tons of money, make something that actually improves your home, but it's the best hobby that you could ever have. And I really just wanted to share that.
So speaking of the best thing ever,
what's going to happen now?
We're going to play Juneau, Alaska.
Oh.
Are you ready for a little game? It's a little game. We love to play games at the end of our show. So I'm going to ask you some questions. What are the wolves of the sea?
Orcas.
That's correct. You got orcas. In Alaska, what animal is it illegal to wake up when napping?
It has to be a bear, but who would ever wake up a napping bear? Come on, right?
That is correct. You would be an idiot to wake up a sleeping bear. True or false? Alaskan salmon fishermen are ruggedly handsome.
I'm an Alaska salmon fisher woman. What do you think? Handsome?
I would give that a big yes.
Ruggedly handsome here?
Is yellow snow safe to eat?
No.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us. Anna White, I'm David Scheinkoff. Thanks for joining us here on Tooling Around, a constructive conversation. Bye-bye, folks.